Issue 85. We start out with Sonic in a cell that he can't break out of in the special zone, because he didn't feel like just kicking the person holding him and running into the Omnivore with the Chaotix. I guess they all heartlessly ditched him to that fate like a criminal gang. Sonic is asked what his involvement with the Chaotix are, and he tells him the truth, including warning him about Supersonic. I'm guessing he won't believe him in a magical fantasy universe. Why even bother interrogating if you're gonna assume everything's a lie anyways? Before we can see him say anything in response, a very creepy looking guy puts up bail for Sonic, who the policeman wants to arrest as well because he blames him for a nuclear bomb. Meanwhile, after the Chaotix seem to feel bad about not warning Sonic that they were wanted by the police, so at least they feel bad about something, and it's revealed that they were framed for a robbery, Vector says they need to figure out how to rescue Sonic. Oh good, they do want to rescue him. They're so mean in this comic with the way they treat Charmy that I wasn't expecting much of them as heroes. It's explained why the Omnivore can't just warp Sonic out of his cell when he can warp anywhere in the special zone. The cops use an energy barrier around all their stations, which is smart of them. It turns out that the Lord villain guy just wanted to bring Sonic to Supersonic, who has agreed to join his group. And the creepy guy thinks that with Supersonic's help, he'll take over the planet. Why hasn't the violence-obsessed Supersonic just killed everyone he's seen on sight, including him and his gang? I mean, that was pretty... He normally doesn't have the capacity to have forethought, to think, I can use this guy to get something in the long term. If he was able to think like that, then he would have killed Eggman a long time ago instead of attacking everything that happened to be right in front of him all the time, since his main enemy was always Robotnik, so he should have gone after him first. Sonic lampshades all this, and Supersonic actually agrees with him, and he makes an explosion while laughing and says that he's protecting them all with an energy shield because he wants the pleasure of destroying each of them personally. If he wants to personally destroy people, like by punching or ramming them to death, why'd he bother trying to shoot lasers at all? That's not personally destroying them, like it's just like you watch something else kill them. A pirate talking guy says that he has to mix a potion with a test tube, and a cloaked guy says that it was a mistake to trust that demon. He drinks a potion, becomes a giant monster, and is immediately vaporized with a laser by Supersonic, who snarks, "Don't be ridiculous." Exactly, especially since he's invincible. Actually, he didn't kill him off. I'm pretty sure I remember reading that this guy comes back in later issues. But at the time, I was like, I'm impressed that this overly safe comic had the guts to kill off any character. I thought it'd only kill off one. But no, I got my hopes up. Supersonic says that he especially wants to destroy Sonic, putting off killing the others. Sonic lampshades that he's waiting, which is stupid since he shouldn't be gouging him and should be running away. But I guess he's too prideful to run away, even from someone he knows is invincible. He jumps over an eye laser, tries to attack Supersonic, and Sonic gets hit by a laser. Sadly, the story ends right here, right in the middle of the climax. I mean, would it kill them to let stories take up the entire issue? I understand why they have multiple stories that go off on arcs, to guarantee that you'll always be invested because at least one story arc will have you interested in the next issue to follow it. But still, in the next story, Knuckles rescues a sheep woman that was about to be sacrificed by a mob, hiding her in a barn with him. She explains that a few months ago, everyone in the village all at the same time joined a cult and decided to sacrifice someone to the moon goddess to guarantee a good harvest. Really, everyone joined the cult at once. Were they brainwashed with magic? Despite Knuckles being exhausted, he wants to keep watch all night while she rests, and she tells him compassionately that he should get the sleep he needs anyways, even though she clearly needs his help. He tells her to wake him in 1 hour and he'll take over the watch after that. Predictably, he gets woken up later by a crowd of villagers, and as I expected from Knuckles hoping he wasn't making a mistake by saving her, the plot twist is that she showed the villagers where to go to find him. So potential plot is dropped in favor of this one, as Knuckles is told that the legends have foretold his coming, and he'll be the new sacrifice. Then it immediately cuts to Knuckles trapped in an egg-shaped net, and I'm expected to believe these villages got Knuckles here perfectly fine. I guess they all ganged up on him, grabbing him to hold him still, and he's outnumbered after all. The story ends with Knuckles being told that the reason they'd get away with killing him is because Eggman doesn't care about the crime of killing being committed most of the time. That's not a smart thing of a ruler to do. There would be total chaos and anarchy and mayhem in his entire planet, completely tearing his empire apart. In the next story, in the Wood Village Zone, some children get told to come inside before someone would get here to threaten them. The robot trooper tells them to pay their tax to Eggman, and the civilian complains about being charged extra while giving him the money, saying that he can't afford to pay much more. For some weird reason, his wife is under the impression that he wasn't standing up to him, when I was busy thinking that he was taking a huge risk by telling him why he's stupid to do this. The dog Mobian says he has the situation in hand against the robot somehow. He smirks and says that he put the word out about the trooper, and he's certain a hero will come help him. His wife says with a dismissive wave of her hand that he's clever. Was she being sarcastic? I guess he can't afford to divorce her. Tails flies over, and the dog says, oh well, he'll do, I suppose. The robot trooper is surprised and worried at Tails flying over to him and decides to run away, which Tails is surprised by. I'm expecting Tails to be led into a trap right now. Then the robot is stopped by a really silly looking robot trooper shaped like Pac-Man from Smash Bros. With a robot trooper head. He looks like a guy that's dressed up in a terrible robot trooper disguise. He accuses the soldier of not being one of his troops and asks which platoon he's with. Is this someone who's just in a robot trooper suit? Why did he demand taxes then? Was he just working undercover? Tails destroys the robot trooper and reveals that yes, a Mobian was under there, and Clive the Wimp, the one villager in the story that was mentioned earlier, was the one in it. Everyone in the village thinks he's a wimp because he's interested in technology instead of sport. Just sport? Is this how the British talk? No S at the end? I don't know. So he decided to disguise himself as a trooper to teach them a lesson about how he can be badass too. If he was smart, he would have given it a different paint job. Although, I guess then he would be able to disguise himself well, but people would still think he's a robot. And besides, he didn't try to destroy the other robot troopers with laser blasts or anything. Tails is surprised to learn that he built that armor. Good writing would have this be one of the catalysts to Tails discovering his love of engineering, since he's so fascinated. Predictably, Clyde says that was just an old trooper that Sonic once destroyed, and he just pieced it together. Tails gives him a moral lecture that what he did was wrong just for being dishonest and dangerous. Was he the one who stole the taxes? If so, that's what Tails should be lecturing him about. I love that Tails says he knows what it's like to be picked on. After he says that he could have gotten into big trouble, they get chased by a bunch of robot troopers. With Tails saying presume, making me wonder if the writers have finally gotten a clue that he's supposed to be intelligent. A web weapon gets fired, trapping them both in a net, and the story ends to be continued next issue. I was expecting this story to be wrapped up in one story. I thought it was already concluded when Clive lost his armor. In the next story, we see a new attraction in Casino Night where someone sends some people on a roller coaster ride into an underground place to be prisoners of Eggman. I'm really getting tired of how many times a Mobian who's important, other than Sonic and friends, is always revealed to be a villain. It's not like he's brainwashed, so why would he genuinely support Eggman? You'd think that eventually the heroes would get incredibly suspicious of everybody. Then it's revealed that one of the people in the ride was Shortfuse disguised under a cloak, who shoots a laser at them and reminds the robots that his armor is Eggman's strongest. He tears the power cable of the Badnik creator, but damages himself from the electrocution. But then it's revealed that he was just faking it, and he destroys them effortlessly, and flies the citizens to the villain and destroys the ride he wanted to make money off of. So where's the tension if Shortfuse is so invincible in his armor that even electrocution doesn't kill him, or even injure him? The story ends with the villain thinking that he hates heroes. Logically, he wouldn't think of them as heroes at all and just see himself as the victim. The first two stories were by Nigel Kitching. The first story is the most engaging one, as Sonic gets bailed out of a cell in a police quarters that doesn't believe him, only to be brought to Super Sonic, who threatens to kill him, which is better writing than me being expected to believe he'd actually try to help someone else take over the world when all he cares about is violence. it's impressive considering that he knew to wait patiently for Sonic to get brought to him instead of killing all the Lord Guy's men during the wait. I can't imagine this guy waiting around harmlessly. The third story was by Lou Stringer and involves a wimp from a village disguising himself as a robot trooper to get respect, only to end up getting some robot troopers chasing him and get him and Tails caught in a net, with Tails lampshading how repetitive him getting caught in a net has become. While I'm interested in seeing what happens next, and seeing how Tails will be competent this time, this story arc could have easily ended in one story. At least Tails hasn't been a brainless moron in a really long time, and I've definitely been rooting for him more in this comic than anywhere else because of his underdog status. Even if it is extremely weird that he's not a genius in this comic. I mean, I guess it would be pretty dark to explain that he got brain damage or something like that. And the final story by Nigel Kitching involves another inexplicably evil Mobian sending people to a trapped Fragman with a roller coaster ride and being awesomely stopped by short fuse who even fakes getting defeated at one point. Only thing to say here is that it's really weird that even, I know his armor is really cool, but really electrocution didn't hurt him? Oh yeah, and the sheep woman betrays Knuckles and he gets put in an egg-shaped cage.